On a weekly basis in OzHarvest, we rescue and deliver the equivalent of 100 tons of food. That equates to over 325,000 meals per week, being delivered to over 1,300 charitable organizations in 45 vans across 9 cities and regions in Australia. We have a free supermarket, and every week 600 customers come through that supermarket. And we have Nest and Nourish programs. We have our Cooking for a Cause program, and we engage with over 200 volunteers a week. So we're fairly busy each week.
I love the overarching principle behind it, which is just to rescue food in whatever shape or form that takes place. And I think with Ronnie, you get inspired by authentic people, and I think Ronnie is an authentic person.
We service non-denominationally organizations across Australia that are doing it tough. So in Sydney, for example, across the board, it could be the Salvos, it could be United Care, it could be any St. Vinny's, any of those organizations that we all know. But what's so fascinating is that there are hundreds that we've never heard of. Small organizations that might be dealing with 6 women who've suffered from domestic violence, or an organization that has 10 single mums that for a whole lot of reasons no longer are with their partners and have to manage on their own, or youth off the streets. The beauty of what OzHarvest does is that we deliver food to every demographic, from tiny little babies to people in the last years of their life.
The plan we had was that we were going to make 2 high-impact donations to charities, and then the rest was going to be distributed amongst employees to give away as a social bonus.
So when Rob suggested and told me that they were going to give $1 million to a charity, that's quite mind-blowing in itself.
So we had to choose 1 or 2 charities. So I sat down with Ronnie and I said to her, look, we were going to get 4 charities in to pitch for this $1 million check.
That $1 million for us absolutely signifies 2 million meals.
And so Ronnie said, I'm going to get that money.
In my 13 years in OzHarvest, I've never had an individual come to me and say, potentially you are a recipient of a significant 1 lump sum of money.
So after we met, I was thinking, I really want Ronnie to win that donation. How can I skew the odds so she gets it? And I thought, I know, I'll make sure no one else pitches. She's got to get it that way.
At the beginning of that week, he called me and said, I hope you're going to give the pitch, the best pitch ever. And I said, Rob, I'm going to be giving the pitch of my life.
So Ronnie comes in, so everyone's in on it, that they know that there's no one else pitching except for Ronnie and her team.
I came in, I had some cheerleaders, I brought a couple of other people from OzHarvest with me because I really kind of felt the more of us there are.
Ronnie comes in with a team, there's 3 or 4 of them, she tells her story, it's very emotional, there's lots of tears, she's crying, a few of the people are crying.
And through my talk I kept referring to the fact of how we were different from these other charities, because I didn't even know which we were up against, but I knew how different we are from every other charity, so I did highlight that.
So she did the pitch, had some Q&A, and it was all very emotional. And then, so just before we were about to go down to the food van, I said to Ronnie, just before we head down, I just want to tell you that, you know, you thought you were in here pitching with 3 other charities for the $1 million. In fact, nobody else pitched, you're the only organisation.
In that moment, when Rob said, no more charities, you are it, and pulls out this check.
And it was a real check. Not an oversized check. We just handed to Ronnie and she just goes, fuck!
I whooped for joy, I screamed for joy, I cried for joy, my people danced.
And burst into tears. She leaps in the air. All the girls that she's brought with her start crying. Everyone starts crying. It was really emotional.
I could not believe that that was happening to us. Just extraordinary.
Because we often give anonymously, or in Australia especially, it's this big culture about, you know, you don't want to show off and give donations, but most charities say the more public the donations are, the more it encourages others to donate. So it's really important for charities to have donors visible. And for a donor, it's a really great feeling. To give money away is far more fun than to receive it yourself. And I know it sounds trite and it's like, everyone says it, but when you actually get to experience that joy of giving money away and the impact that it has, you just want to give more. So it just kind of changes your focus a little bit.
There's so many ways that we support people, and so often we don't even know in what way that could happen. And one day I was walking down the street and a woman stopped me and she said, "You're Ronnie and you're from OzHarvest." And she said, "I want to thank you." And I said, "Well, thank you for thanking me, but I don't even know what you're thanking me for." And she said, "Well, my son was at school and absolutely not capable of concentrating and was an absolute menace, and that was because we didn't have food. We had no money, and going to school was a nightmare. And we started getting food from OzHarvest through one of the organizations you service. And Ronnie, my son, now goes to university, and it's thanks to you."
So she's a very famous person around town, but that is not Ronnie. She's just a woman that's driven to solve a social issue, and so I think that's what connects with me.